How did a 16-year-old go from making over $20,000 a day in his online business to buying his first Porsche a week before his 17th birthday, to being nearly evicted from his apartment, to being in massive debt, to now being in the best shape of his life financially, physically, spiritually, and everything else? This is the story I haven't really told in full, but I know it could be helpful for someone out there who is maybe a young entrepreneur and going through a similar situation that I faced. Now I'm 22 years old, but from a very young age, 13, 14 years old, I always wanted to get rich. I wanted to make money because this was something I never even saw or really knew was possible until the internet happened. In that time, I was very, very driven by materialistic items, which I think was fine at the time. This is what gave me motivation, ambition to just achieve something I had never been around or really seen in my life ever. I just wanted to be rich. I tried a lot of different things to make money, and this started with the simple things of mowing lawns and cleaning cars, raking leaves, to then transitioning more into the online space, doing affiliate marketing and making money by selling shout out space. It gave me purpose to build these pages, even making, a couple $100 a month, and it showed me that there was potential to grow. After a few years, I figured out about what dropshipping was and building online stores. So at 16 years old is when I started my first ever online stores, where I was making pretty good amounts of money in sales with my businesses, and more specifically with my own online stores. This allowed me to finally have the freedom to travel and see things I'd never seen before. And everything happened so quickly, it felt like the blink of an eye, where more than anything, I basically went from this kid in school who tried to start a food catering business at his school to really realizing that I just didn't feel like I was meant to do these brick and mortar businesses. I had to do what I wanted to do online, and I was going to sacrifice everything I could to get there. And at the young age of 16 years old, I could take massive risk, and if all failed, then I'm just a normal kid in high school and living at my parents' house. Nothing too strange, right? But I knew that wasn't for me. I wanted to do something different. In this journey of starting to make some money for the very first time, I'm 16 years old. I bought a Porsche a week before I turned 17 years old, my first car. I started just experiencing this life. It all happened so quick, but you don't see everything prior, all the effort and time before that I put into this moment for it to even be able to happen at 16 years old. And I was absolutely not prepared. This was the first time I saw actual results with my online business, and the first time I saw actual problems. Payment holds, the upset customers, long shipping times, not really having a team or knowing how to operate a successful business. With this online business, I had to learn how to really create a sense of responsibility. And, this allowed me to face just a big lesson early on about management, more than anything, because as one person, you can only do so many things. So with that one product and that online store and making this breakthrough, moving into then turning 17 years old, the year is 2018. And, again, this is my first time. I had started, making a little bit of money, spending money on whatever I wanted, started traveling for the first time, going to California and just being around all of these environments that I always imagined, I always dreamed of being around. But there was still something in me that felt like I really didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what to do next. I started this YouTube channel to document what I was doing with my stores. That's when I just started to explore, adventure, meet people, see things. But I lost the purpose in my business and what I wanted to do with it because I was always driven by materialistic things and these experiences I never had. And then I got the car and I started being around these environments, but I didn't have financial planner, accountants in place. Like, I was doing everything myself. Imagine a 16, 17-year-old kid doing a product launch, January 2018 for a digital product and doing over 50K in a weekend, to then wondering, where'd that money go? I don't know. I was stupid. I didn't know what I was doing. In this year of 2018, I said I was 17 years old. I got to be around people that I'd never been around before. Got introduced to things I'd never been around before. More so to say things like drinking or smoking weed. I felt like I went from a little innocent child to an adult relatively quickly. In this year of 2018, I'm still in school, convinced my parents to let me switch to online school, which is then where that allowed me to have a whole new opportunity and horizon of freedom of time and location, where I just got a MacBook and I gave it to this girl. I said, hey, $150 a week, do all the schoolwork. And that's how I ended up graduating high school, starting an online business for the first time, touching some money for the first time. I had no real financial accountability, lost my purpose because I started to see and have the things that I always wanted. I didn't know what was next. And I started to be around the wrong people. then just not even having to go to school anymore just created even more freedom for me. During this time was a lot of great memories, to be honest. Like, I don't look back at this time and be like, this was terrible, but I really did not know what to do. So the day I turned 18 years old in 2019 in January, I moved out and signed a lease at an apartment in my hometown, which was a massive mistake. I should have gone somewhere else, but I decided to stay in my hometown. So I moved into this apartment in my hometown, and I started just getting very comfortable and smoking. And at this point, I started gaining a lot of weight because every time I smoke, I would eat a bunch of stuff. And I was just very comfortable, but only in those times where I'm satisfying those short-term desires of smoking and eating food. But when I wake up the next day, I feel like crap. And then my days are filled with like not knowing what to do. And, fast forward just a few months, 6 months, let's say, into that lease in 2019, I had a letter on my door. And what it was saying that I hadn't paid my rent. And if I don't pay it by a certain date, their lawyer's going to get involved and they're going to evict me, basically. I was in such a bad state. This is where I went broke for the first time. It's because I went through this state in 2018, making some money for the very first time. And towards the end of 2017, taxes come around, facing taxes, no financial accountability, no purpose, not really making much money. Just kind of had this thermostat where I'd keep this little amount. And then if I went under it, then I would start to work hard again and try and figure things out. I got to this point where I had basically gone dead broke. I needed to figure something out. And I had just a couple $1,000s left. I knew I needed to get out. So I spent literally my last couple grand that I had on booking plane tickets. I went to New York City, I went to Florida, I went to Arizona, I went to California, I went to several different places, Texas, just to see if any of these places stuck out to me for me to kind of make a massive change in my life and get a new environment. Now, keep in mind, at this time, I still have my Porsche, still have my apartment. Like, things just aren't always as they seem. Like, I was just barely getting by, and I would have really bad days. I would get very upset, emotionally upset at things that would happen. I'm so lost. I'm so down bad. I don't know what to do. I don't have a career path. I don't know what to follow. Like, I'm just getting by as this 18-year-old. I'm being exposed to new environments. And I ended up going to Arizona where my buddy Hayden lived. He picked me up. Hayden takes me back to his house. He has a Lambo. He has like 5 cars. He's renting this mansion and he's building his businesses. Being in an environment around winners, or even just one winner, can change your life. I'm being around this environment of positivity, of success. This allowed me to kind of find some drive again, where I ended up actually working, and I ended up making more during that trip with my business than I did the previous 3 months combined. And what this told me was, I need to stay around this environment. I need to be here. I need to live here. And that's where Hayden said I could move into the guest house if I wanted to. It's like, great. I took, some of the money that I made on that trip, broke the lease on my apartment, paid like 2 months rent. I paid to ship my car, my Porsche, from North Carolina all the way across country to Arizona. I stuff as much stuff as I can in the Porsche. I fly back to Arizona. I move there, and I'm there for over a year. End of 2019, things were getting better. I'm around a better environment. Then 2020 comes around. In 2020, you could scale things relatively quickly. Now is when I'm back on my feet. I started a store, one simple product, and I started running some Facebook ads for it, and it started doing well. Fast forwarding a few months into 2020, doing over $300K per month with this store. One product, simple. It's going amazing, but I'm still struggling with these vices, with financial accountability. So I was over 210 pounds. I'm still smoking weed. I'm building these businesses. I start to face a lot of issues. This is where things went from really, really great to then going broke once again. Just barely being able to pay my portion of the rent. Long story short, I basically lost the store. I sold my dream car that I bought. I bought a Nissan GTR in cash, sold it because I needed the money, but I was still in pretty big credit card debt and I didn't have the capital personally to cover it. I'm really broke again, but I knew I could figure it out. Towards the end of 2020, I'm trying to solve these issues, and now I'm just back to nothing again, basically. I need to figure something out. My back's pinned up against the wall now. I'm moving to Puerto Rico. Why? Just for the adventure, basically, at that point, which is a crazy change. And at this time, it's December of 2020. I get in my car, my Porsche, I still had it. I just couldn't imagine myself selling it. So I drove all the way from Arizona to North Carolina to make it by Christmas, and being with my family definitely gave me this sense of comfort, but I knew deep down I was still lost. I was so scared. I didn't know what to do. And then getting into 2021, my first year into Puerto Rico, and I was basically just kind of cruising along, doing some things. I told myself I would never smoke weed in Puerto Rico. To this day, I haven't. I believe it's been over 2 years at this point, just because it wasn't for me. It didn't help me in any way. Towards the end of 2021, starting to focus on my health. So I get my own place, and I started a challenge called 75 Hard for the first time on January 1st or January 2nd of 2022, last year. And that's kind of where everything changed for me. And after those 75 days, I felt great, but I felt like I could do better. So a month later, I did it again. Basically, within this period of 6 to 8 months, I went from the worst place I'd ever been physically to the best. I had abs for the first time. I dropped down to 145 pounds. So beginning of 2022, I had created a new training program about Facebook ads. And this is like right at the time where Facebook ads had the whole iOS thing going on, and it just really wasn't an attractive offer, but it was a digital product. And it made like 10 grand, maybe a little more, 10, 15 grand, but it wasn't anything, sustainable for me. And it wasn't very popular. So I was kind of discouraged, but I put a lot of work in it and I saw the opportunity. So then in July, I decided that I had a new idea that I really wanted to share, which is just like, instead of creating a dropshipping store selling physical products, how could someone do that with digital products? Like I sell digital products. I've been selling digital products. How could someone else do that? How could I put that in an easy to understand format? And that's where I created the concept of digital dropshipping. I started sharing it. At first, it was kind of just like, I'm trying another thing. I'm giving it my all. I don't know what this is going to bring me, but I really like it and it's very fun. I want to share it and let's do it. So then I did it. It started out just kind of for fun. And then within a few months, that went from being a kind of for fun project to making over $50,000 per month. Focusing on personal development allowed me to cut ties with my vices and bad habits and following the answer that I believe, where I know I should or shouldn't do something. And that allowed me to basically transform everything. For the first time, I had clarity. I found fun and inspiration and drive towards this new business that I was involved in, just like I did in 2017 with my first stores. I started focusing on myself. Now all this amazing stuff is just happening, falling into place. I just became very excited again for the first time. I became more accountable. I started keeping track of things. I started being open to sharing and being vulnerable and getting help when I needed it on certain things. And I started just living my life more with 3 core main values: consistency, transparency, and value. Before, when I created digital products in the past in 2018, these products were made because I wanted to make money. I didn't really have a pure intention. And now this stuff is so fun to me. I get so much value out of living this life and being able to share things that help other people transform their lives. I believe you get what you give. So if I can just be my best and continue to grow, push myself, develop even more self-awareness, lower my ego, then I can achieve bigger and bigger things. I've been able to do amazing things I never imagined I could do, like investing money into things, on a little bit of money in real estate, a little bit of money in some stock stuff, alternative investment like watches, being able to move into what I consider right now kind of like my dream apartment. And I'm living here on the beach in Puerto Rico. Things aren't all sunshine and rainbows now. I still deal with issues. I still have things that I'm learning. I still am continuing to grow, but I'm in a much better position than I was. And I learned from my mistakes. And this has been my story of a young entrepreneur who started getting some success, lost it all twice, and had to learn one really main important thing to overcome it and become better now. And I can't even imagine what more I'm going to be able to accomplish into the future. I know it's going to be things I never could have imagined. I'm excited for it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's a long one, but I wanted to share this story in hopes that I could help someone else. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a big like, comment, and subscribe. Peace.